Hey there. Hi, everyone. I'm Charlotte Smith of 3 Cow Marketing. I have some really exciting news today. I recently launched my podcast. It's called The Profitable Mindset. You can find it on iTunes or anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And as a matter of fact, I've got the links in the description of this video too. And I'm actually going to go over the first few episodes on video here too. So you can watch it here on YouTube or jump over to iTunes or do both. First of all, what it is the first few episodes of the new podcast are the 25 steps to start and set up your farm business. And this will apply to you whether you've been farming for a few years or if you're a brand new farmer, because I get so many people call me who are brand spanking new, and this is going to help you. If you've been in business for a while, listen and watch anyway and download the 25 step checklist, because chances are you've skipped some of these steps and it can fill in the blanks for you. When I started my farm, it took me probably 5 years to figure out all the things in this checklist. And this checklist is the exact checklist I wish someone had handed me 10 years ago when I started my farm. We would have been much less stressed. We would have lost a lot less money. We would have been profitable sooner. As it was, it took us a couple years, but I would have struggled way less if I'd had this list. So get the whole list. It looks like this, and it's at 3cowmarketing.com/25 steps. And the link is in the notes with this video too. And so you will get the whole checklist, but I'm just going to go in depth over some of them today, because otherwise this would be a way long video. So I'm going to go in depth and you can follow along with the checklist and take notes. Now, the podcast has been out a week. It's already highly rated, highly rated. And we're in the top 200 of iTunes podcasts, which is a coveted place to be. I was number 93 yesterday. So I'm telling you, this is already helping people. I've already gotten lots of responses from people who said this will save them a ton of time, and other people who are already farming for a couple or a few years who've said it's going to change their life right now. So dive in and do listen along. All right. So the first thing I want to go over is, I'm just going to go over them in order. We're going to start with step one. And step one is to decide on your signature product. And what that means is, you probably already know what products you want to sell, right? I'm guessing. Or maybe you're brand new and you're still deciding that. But I want you to choose one product to be your signature product that you're going to build your brand around. That's what you're going to be known for. And what I mean by that is, are you going to do meat chickens, or are you going to do pastured pigs or grass-fed beef, or are you going to raise vegetables or do raw milk or flour? Are you a flour farmer? All right, I want you to choose one of those. And that's what you're going to go with. The reason it's so important to choose that signature product is, until you get really good at marketing that one product at a price that you need to charge to be sustainable, you won't be able to be successful when you start adding products. I see a lot of farmers make the mistake of starting with their product, and they get to the end of their first batch of chickens and they didn't sell them quite at the price they wanted to sell them at. So they aren't really making money yet. So they decided to add pigs to their offerings, thinking that, people buying pork will buy chickens and they will have double the customers, and sales will be easier. And then it doesn't really work like they thought when they added pigs. So then they add grass-fed beef, and the same thing. Now they've got 3 products to sell and they aren't doing any one of them well. So while a diversified farm is definitely doable and it's best for the land, we all know that, it is not what you want to start out with. It will hold you back, and not only hold you back, there's a high likelihood you will go broke trying to do that diversified farm from the start. So I want you to get really good at selling your signature product before you ever decide to add that second product or third product. Now, if you're a farmer who's already, and this you're not alone, because I have a lot of people come to me for consultations and they're already trying to sell 10 different things. they've got the poultry going behind the cows, and they've layered in pork, and they've got a milk cow, and they're trying to do all the things. That's okay. Just choose one. If you've already got all that going on, choose one to focus on now. Choose one that will be your signature product, so that when people think of your farm, they think of that one thing. If it really dilutes your marketing to the more things you have. So if you're the place for beef and chicken and pork and eggs and milk, then you're kind of a jack of all trades, and people don't know you as being able to solve that one problem they have, and you aren't going to be as top of mind as if you have that one signature product that you're known for. Now, my experience with this is 10 years ago, we started as a raw milk micro dairy, and that's what I became known for. That was my signature product. That was my branding. That was everything. And I waited until I was charging a sustainable price, which took me a couple years to get profitable and feel really comfortable that I had a group of people ready and waiting and willing to buy. And there was lots of demand, and my price was up before I ever added chicken eggs, for instance. And then we added pastured poultry after that. Sometime between year 2 and 3, we added eggs and the pastured poultry. And then down the road, we added more things, but I've always been known as the raw milk micro dairy farmer. So that's what I want for you. I want you to have that signature product, and then down the road, you can add those other products. I don't know if you've heard me say these stats before, because I say them in my book and a lot of my blog posts, but 80% of farmers are out of business within the first 2 years. 98% of farmers are out of business by year 5. That means you have a 2% chance of making it to year 5. These are according to USDA statistics report I have from them in 2016. And the report is published every 4 years. So we'll have another one coming out next year. I don't want that to be you. I don't want you to be one of the 98%. I want you to be one of the 2%, or better yet, let's increase that 2% to 4% or 5%. I'd like to see a lot more farmers staying in business, because it's very expensive to do this job you and I do. And we lose a lot of money when we go out of business, everything we've invested in it. So let's get you set, and choosing your signature product is do that now. And that's going to help you get on your way there to being sustainable. So let's move right on. And I'm just going to keep an eye on the time, and I'm going to cut this off when I've spent enough time on this. Oh gosh, I feel so silly because now I lost my step 2s. Here, I'll pull it out of here. Sorry, guys. Oh, this is a good one. Estimate your costs. So step 2 is to estimate your costs. And what happens is a lot of farmers, sorry, I'm not looking at you guys. I'm just looking for what I did with that sheet of paper. It's all right. A lot of farmers skip this step. I want you to really dive in and figure out what it's going to cost you to start your farm. I want you to do some research. Go to farm stores, get quotes on fencing. We bought the farm, I built the fencing, and then I had to build a milking stanchion. So I had to take my barn and convert it to be able to milk the cows. I had to build a milk room, had to buy the milk machine. So I want you to estimate your costs, and including insurance, rent, mortgage, seeding the land, labor, all those things. So many people start a farm and they skip this step. And I can tell you, it's a lot more expensive to start a farm than you thought. So really do some research here. I have another tool that I didn't link to in here, but I do on my show notes in the podcast, which is linked in here. It's called 3cowmarketing.com/price for profit. And I have some checklists in there that will help remind you of all the expenses you might have. It's based on my farm, but it's going to remind you too, even insurance, the electric bill, rock for our driveway leading to our farm store, and on and on and on, gas, etc. So often it is not unusual that farmers will report to me that it cost 2 or 3 or 4 times more than they ever thought they should budget. So I want you to do some of that homework. What helped me was when I started my farm, I took the full year previous to starting and I researched all this stuff, including I made some farm visits. I went and visited friends who were well, they became friends when I reached out to them, who were already milking cows. And I talked to them about some of these expenses. And I researched milk machines and I researched the chemicals to do that. And there were some things that were unknown. But because I did all that research, I had a better grasp of costs. But I can tell you this, there are going to be more costs than you can ever imagine, so many things on a farm. So really estimate your costs, go through that price for profit free course I have, and then double them. And then you might be getting close to what it's actually going to cost. Having this in mind will help you make decisions that will help you be sustainable sooner. Okay, so that's really important. Decide on your cost. Number 3 on the checklist, which is at 3cowmarketing.com/25 steps, is to know the law. Know the law regarding your product, how you're going to sell your product, all kinds of things. Because remember, ignorance of the law is not an excuse if someone shows up and says your building is wrong, you built it wrong, it doesn't fit what is expected, and you either have to invest a whole bunch of costs to change it, or you're given a cease and desist because you aren't doing things properly. So ignorance of the law does not excuse you when the health department or the building department or the Department of Agriculture shows up to give you a cease and desist. So please research the law. This is difficult sometimes for farmers. It takes some effort, because don't do what I see a lot of farmers doing. They'll jump on a Facebook group and say, hey, what's the best way to sell my chicken, and work within the law? And they will get answers from all over the country or the world. Your city and your county and your state are all going to have a little different requirements depending on where you live. So you really need to do the research yourself. And a little tip here, start with your Department of Ag. That's where your Department of Agriculture. That's where I'd recommend you start. Not saying they all have the answers. So many times I end up knowing the law better than they do, the person on the other end of the phone. So sometimes you will know more than them, but they will help you write down who you talk to and what department they're in and what they told you. And then ask them, well, if you don't know, where can I find out this information? And they might send you to your county offices or your city offices, or both. So, and here's what you need to do is, if all 3 of those people give you a different answer as far as what you have to do, you want to make sure you meet the strictest requirements. So if you're wanting to butcher chickens on your farm and you find out that the county requires you do this and the state requires you to do this and the FDA requires you to do this, pick which one is the strictest and build your setup to meet those standards, and then you'll be good. Same with raw milk or whatever, handling your vegetables. Meet the strictest standards of the people you talk to. Don't think, well, since the city said I could do this and be a little more lax than the Department of Ag, I'm going to do what the city says. Then the Department of Ag comes in and, you're faced with being shut down or fines, or you got to build a bunch of extra stuff. All right. So just go find that out, where, if you're going to sell your product on your property, can you put a building there? Some places, we converted an old shed into a farm store. Some places don't allow you to do that. So you've really got to research the law, because ignorance of the law is not an excuse. I know I've said that a few times, but I've worked with so many farmers who've gotten cease and desist. And that is a bummer, because you have all this product that's usually perishable. Most of us are raising perishable farm fresh products, whether it's flowers to meat or whatever. And a cease and desist means we're going to lose a lot of money in the short term till we get that problem fixed. So be sure you know the law thoroughly. Number 4, it's a little more fun one maybe than laws. That is to name your business. Now, naming your business, you might have an obvious name like McKay Orchards or Julie Smith Farms. Maybe you're already set, just what you're going to call it. That's fine. Maybe you want to be a little bit creative. So just what I recommend, how I name things is I brainstorm. I might write down 50 or even 100 ideas before I start discounting any ideas. And that's what brainstorming is. It is to uh, get everything out there, and you don't discount any ideas as you're brainstorming. That's just a free thinking. Don't say a name and then say, oh, that won't work. It's free thinking. Get them all down, because in my experience, it's often the weirdest name that wouldn't work, but you wrote it down anyway, that leads you to just the right name. So get 50 or 100 names out on paper and then narrow it down. Also, I don't want you to spend too much time naming your farm or your business, because you can always change it. Even if you go so far as to get a website or something, you just can redirect the website to a new name down the road. So I don't want this to hold you up. There are so many decisions to make when starting a business and a farm. Don't, spend some time trying to find the perfect name, but don't let it hold you up from making progress. Eventually, just choose a name. Some things I want to mention here. There are pros and cons to very specific names, for instance, such as maybe your name is Paul and you're going to raise pastured poultry. So you name your business Paul's Pastured Poultry. That is very, very specific. And with the 3 Ps, it's kind of fun. And that is really good for marketing purposes because it's so specific. However, it could hold you back down the road if you decide you want to add something else besides poultry. You might feel a little bit held back. So just give it some thought. But that's really good for branding, because then if people think, I want some poultry, and up pops Paul's Pastured Poultry, you're going to be the go-to guy for poultry. So again, pros and cons for being that specific. You also want it to be somewhat easy to spell. I have one of my marketing students who raises Corriente beef cattle. No, Limousine. Well, we had Corriente, that was someone else, but Limousine. And so her farm name was going to have the word Limousine in it. Well, remember, Limousine cattle breed is not spelled like Limousine, the vehicle, which most people recognize first. So that could potentially hold her back if people are not spelling it right and they can't find her. So again, don't discount that name. You can still use that name, but just know if there's a better option, there might be. So there's just some ideas of pros and cons. But most important, don't let naming your business hold you back. I have people who come to me for consulting. They've been farming for 5 years with no business name. All right. So that's okay. They probably had, and they're getting to the point where, they need to pay taxes and they're getting bigger. So they have to have their business name finally. So if you haven't had a name till now, that's fine. Let's get you one. All right. Get on that. You'll have fun with it. I often like to have a partner that I brainstorm names with. Like my daughter and I will get together and start throwing out names. And she'll say something that, clicks for me in some way, and I throw something else out. So sometimes you get more creative with a partner doing that. All right. And then I'm keeping an eye on time because I don't want this video to be too long. So I think I'm going to wrap these up. These are just the first 4 steps, but 25 steps to start and set up your farm business. The checklist is at 3cowmarketing.com/25 steps. The link is in the video description. Go listen to the podcast, you guys. It's been so fun to start a podcast this week. And like I said, we are top rated. We're number 93 in marketing and business yesterday. The comments are amazing. People are having a great time. And if you know a brand new farmer, get this information to them. I have never found these 25 steps in one place anywhere. So share this information with your organizations or farmer friends too. And I'm going to see you next time. I'm going to do another live video, and we're going to have the whole series of 25 steps here in a series of videos. So take care, and I will talk to you soon.